Trump. Fuck Donald Trump. Yeah, nigga, fuck Donald Trump.
You beckon me, my lord. What is it you summoned me for? What is it? What? The hell? What is this? What? Is this what you want me to do? Your wish is granted, my lord. Hey guys, you're watching Scorpion 999 Studios again. Unless this is your first video, which I apologize. Anyways, 2016 was, well, 2016. A lot of great people died. And a lot of bad music came out. Like a lot of the pop music this year and last year was just really minimal, spacious. It all sounded the same, really boring, downbeat, terrible. But enough about being negative. There's also a lot of great music this year. And I listened to some albums this year that I liked, but they weren't that great. But from the ones I really liked, I've been able to narrow it down to the top 10 that I enjoyed this year. But before I get into that, I'd like to start off with some honorable mentions. First off is A Sailor's Guide to the Earth by Sturgill Simpson. I'm not a big country guy, but I really enjoyed this album. Not much to say about it. If you're a country fan, check it out. If you're not a country fan, also check it out. It's pretty good. He's got a Nirvana cover on there, In Bloom. The bunch of original songs also. It's really good. Good country album. Next is Teens of Denial by Car Seat Headrest. I don't know much about this band really. I just kind of heard about them from the Needle Drop, but I listened to it. I really liked it. It's kind of fun, indie rock. You know, the lyrics are humorous. You know, but it's very accurate what being a teenager feels like, and I enjoyed it. It's a good album. Next is The Life of Pablo by Kanye West. This is Kanye's 7th album, and, well, it's just kind of like a mix and match of the different stuff he's done in his career, but add in some gospel and trap, and there you go, Life of Pablo. I really like this album. I saw Kanye live before he canceled his tour. It was great, but I just don't think that it's good enough to be in the top 10. Next is Untitled Unmastered by Kendrick Lamar. To Pimp a Butterfly was my favorite album of 2015, without a doubt. And Untitled Unmastered is pretty much the B-sides to that album. So I really like this album as well. It's hip-hop with a lot of jazz influences and the socio-political themes. I really liked it. But at the end of the day, it's just B-sides, so it didn't really make my top 10. Then there's Imperial by Denzel Curry. Now, Denzel Curry is a really good rapper. I'm surprised that he hasn't gotten a lot of recognition until now, 2016. He's made the XXL freshman class when I heard about him back in 2013. But yeah, this album's great. You know, Denzel's a very raw, aggressive rapper, and the production's great also. Then there's Coloring Book by Chance the Rapper. This was originally going to make my top 10, but some things changed, but I still really love this album. It's great because Chance is, you know, this great, energetic figure in a world where most rappers are cold, dark, processed. Not to sound like a backpacker, but it just, you know, Chance just has this energy to him that not a lot of people have now. The production on the album is really good. It's got, you know, standard hip-hop beats with some live instrumentation from The Social Experiment. And the lyrics on the album, you know, kind of deal with his faith, his family life, kind of personal stuff, but also bigger issues like the music industry. Overall, it was a really fun album. I mean, I guess it's a mixtape, But it's at the Grammys for Best Rap Album, so it counts. And the last album I want to mention in honorable mentions is Atrocity Exhibition by Danny Brown. Oh man, that was a great album. I'd call it number 11. That's not an 11. I'd call it I'd call it my number 11 if it was top 11 albums, but sadly it's top 10. I mean, it's my video. I could whatever, top 10. It's honorable mentions. This album was really good. The production's really out there. It's a really crazy album. The production's really out there. You know, Danny Brown, his flow is weird. It's putrid. It's nasty. You know, just kind of reflects the theme of the album that he's going for. And I don't have a lot to say about it. It's just a crazy album. Definitely check it out. And that's it for honorable mentions. You know, so definitely check those albums out. But on to the top 10. You know what? I'm ditching the hat. It's messing with my hair and crap. But just so you guys know, if this comes out in 2016, it means I did my job. If it comes out in 2017, it means I procrastinated as usual. So either way, let's get on with it. For number 10, I'm gonna have to give it to Malibu by Anderson .Paak. Anderson .Paak, he's a relative newcomer in the game. He was also in the 2016 XXL freshman class with Denzel, but this album is as much of a rap album as Fuse is, except, well, this is a good album. You know, you actually don't fall asleep while listening to it. But enough bashing Drake. This is a really fun album. It's a R&B soul album. You know, it's really funky, you know. But, you know, he's got some rap elements. You got guest rappers from, like, Talib Kweli, Schoolboy Q, The Game. But the features on this album aren't really the most interesting part of it to me, except for production by Madlib, of course, because it's Madlib. But, you know, the album closes and opens really strong. You know, The Bird and the Dream are both great tracks. You know, there's some kind of weak tracks in between, like Waterfall Interlude, that I didn't really like. But there's some really solid tracks on here, you know. And it's a real groovy album. It's got a nice West Coast vibe, you know, like you're chilling at the beach, which will make it a perfect summer album, but it came out in January. Anyways, the lyrics are pretty good. Anderson's he's more of a entertainer more than a lyricist. You're not going to find super conscious stuff in here, but he does talk about his personal struggles. You know, it's a lot of kind of like love, like sexy type stuff. And you know, that's what he was going for. It's a good album. But overall, I really like this album. You know, definitely recommend it. Anderson .Paak's like a really fresh face in hip-hop. If you can call him a hip-hop artist, which, yeah, he is one. My favorite track in the album is probably Heart Don't Stand a Chance. For many reasons. It's catchy, but not like bad catchy that you get annoyed after when you keep listening to it. It's just like really infectious. It's so nice to listen to. And you know, it's a bit melancholy, like it's not a sad song, but it has like a bit of like a melancholy tone in some parts. Whether you listen to the original version, which is kind of more upbeat, or a cover version where Anderson .Paak's playing drums, you know, it's more chilled out. It's a really good song. So number 10, guys, really good album. Number 9 is Awaken My Love, quotation marks, that's part of the title, by Childish Gambino. Now this album came out of the blue. I've known about him since middle school. I wasn't really a big fan of him until around the time he dropped Stone Mountain and Kauai, which is when I went back and listened to his older stuff. But that was all rapping. I enjoyed his rapping, you know, he's a real funny personality. But this album came out of nowhere. This is like some 70s psychedelic, funkadelic stuff. Funkadelic, that's a group, by the way, funkadelic. I'm not just making up verbs here. Sorry, I'm not making up adjectives here. I'm stupid. I just have to accept that fact. But anyways, this album was great. You know, it's very, I use this to describe Malibu, but it's a very groovy, very funky album, you know? It's got really upbeat cuts like Me and Your Mama or Boogeyman. I know you got some more chilled out stuff like Redbone, Terrified, Baby Boy. Gambino's a recent father, if you didn't know. Congratulations to him. And, you know, it deals with stuff kind of like fatherhood, you know, deals with kind of love stuff, heartbreak, you know, how black people are perceived in America. It's kind of a more serious album than his past attempts. It's just a really good album to listen to. I recommend it. My favorite track is probably Redbone, one of the singles he released, because it's just so... I look like an idiot, but it just gets you in that mood, you know? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Just forget that happened. But yeah, no, it's amazing album. And I read an interview that he did where he said that this wasn't a fun album to make. It took a lot of more effort than he wanted it to. So it's not likely we'll get another album like this from him. I mean, maybe this is his new style, who knows, but he made a tweet and deleted it like before he dropped the album. Stun on these hoes, and these hoes have been stunned on. Congratulations. Number 8 is Blonde by Frank Ocean. First off, I want to say, finally, I've been with Frank since Nostalgia Ultra, before he even had an album. This has been a long time coming. You know, but I guess the waiting paid off. He also dropped Endless, but if I'm being frank, I don't want to have to watch an entire video just to listen to music. Like, I get, you know, Beyonce did it, and it's cool to do the visual album now, but I just want to listen to music, man. Okay, side rant over. Blonde it's a different album than Channel Orange. It's a lot more minimalistic, and I know I complained about pop music now being like minimal and spacious, but it works for this album. You know, Frank's kind of singing about the same stuff, you know, love, heartbreak, his sexuality, his like struggles in life, and you know, he gets an array of collaborators to help with the production and guest verses and stuff, like Tyler the Creator, Young Lean, James Blake, Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead. He gets Beyonce to do background vocals for him. Only Frank Ocean can get Beyonce to do background vocals. And yeah, this album, you know, I really like that, you know, since it's minimal, it leaves more room for Frank to show off his voice, you know, crooning away. You know, some of the tracks don't even have percussion, it's just a guitar or synthesizer. There's some crazy change-ups in the album, like in Pretty Sweet, where it's already a weird track, but then you get the kind of drum and bass drums, and it's just blows up. Or Nights, which the first half of the song is, you know, really, is really fun. I don't know how to describe it, but when it changes to kind of like a hi-hat trap beat, and it slaps. My favorite track on the album is probably a tie between Solo Reprise and White Ferrari. Though I might just be saying Solo Reprise because who doesn't want to hear Andre 3000 spit? And White Ferrari, it's real emotional, you know, very, very slow, emotional song, you know, made me tear up. This is a very, very teary album, especially in the last track, Future of Free, when he mentions a line about Tyler sleeping on his sofa, word I can't say, go way back. That had me tearing up, man, because I've known that kind of click on Future since for 5, maybe 6 years now. No, probably 5 or 4 or 5, yeah. But anyways, it's good to hear from you again, Frank. Hopefully you don't go on another kind of hibernation. And I noticed this album was the top candidate lot of lists for number 1 album of 2016. So probably gonna get some hate for not putting it at number 1, but you know, I just think there's some other better albums than this, but this is a really good album. Speaking of visual albums, number 7 is Lemonade by Beyonce. This was originally higher on my list, but like I said, there were some changes that happened. But let's get into it. For starters, I can't say I've been a big Beyonce fan. I mean, I've recognized that she's got a great voice, but I've just never been a fan of the whole pop diva kind of thing. And then when she released Formation, which was the first single for this album, I didn't really like it. I thought it was too weird for a pop song. Like, I don't know. And just hearing a bunch of girls chanting, "Got sauce in my bag, swag." It's infuriating. But then when the album actually came out and I heard it, I was blown away. I mean, if you don't know, Jay-Z allegedly cheated on Beyonce. I don't know if it's true or not, but that kind of influenced this whole album. It's got the themes of infidelity, betrayal, trust throughout it. And it also has themes of empowerment, both for women and for black people, which is an issue that Beyonce cares about. The music on the album, it takes a lot of influence from various genres, like gospel, soul, country, rock and roll, blues, funk, trap, hip-hop, electronica. I don't know. It just kind of has a lot, and you know, you can see kind of the genre diversity throughout the album. I mean, she's nominated for Best Rock Song. Nobody's Seen That Coming. That was the song with Jack White, which the collaborations on this album were really good. The Weeknd, Jack White, James Blake, Kendrick Lamar. And though they are really good on the tracks they're on, the features don't make the album. It's a really solid album with a good narrative. My favorite track on the album, it's another tie, either between Freedom or Hold Up. And I might just be saying Freedom because Kendrick Lamar, but Beyonce does really good on her own in this song. Has a kind of a gospel sound. It's really uplifting with a choir. And Hold Up, it's kind of a bit more smooth, has this like reggae, very tropical feel, very watery, which if you see the music video, it's got a lot of water imagery with her kind of opening the doors and the water comes out and she breaks the fire hydrant. And the song really sounds like a woman who feels betrayed. But yeah, this was another popular album that was number 1. It was number 1 in people's lists. It's in my top 10, but I don't like it that much. And I mean, that's not saying a lot because I do really like this album, but just the stuff that I'm ranking above it is I like it better. And well, hopefully either her or Sturgill Simpson wins Album of the Year at the Grammys this year. Probably gonna be her because this album is really popular and I totally support that. But please don't let it be Views. If Drake wins Album of the Year, I'm jumping off a bridge. Number 6 is Weezer by Weezer. You know, the white one. Their most recent one, the 2016 one. Yeah, their 4th album named Weezer. Weezer as a band has had their highs and lows, and this is definitely a high. Sonically, it's a callback to their older albums, as well as like not necessarily a tribute, but like it's also inspired by the Beach Boys. You can definitely hear it. It's another perfect summer album. Definitely has a West Coast vibe to it. California kids, LA girls. There's a lot of... This album is like... It's a really fun album, As always, Rivers Cuomo, he's got some kind of weird lyrics that would seem unorthodox. In a rock song. Like, he's talking about the extinction of some bird on wind in our sails, or all the religious references and thank God for girls, just the kind of weird scenario that was. But you've got kind of emotional songs like Jacked Up. You've got kind of more laid back songs like Girl We Got a Good Thing. And overall it's just a really nice, fun rock album. My favorite track has to be Summer Lane and Drunk Dory. It's a very low-key song. It doesn't get too crazy, but everything's nice about it. The guitars, the drums, the bass, Rivers' vocals. The guitar solo on the song is killer, and it actually kind of reminds me of Lithium by Nirvana, and I do like that song. I don't have much to say. I like this album. Weezer came through with a good album. The Blue Album's still better though. Alright, halfway through. Number 5 is Run the Jewels 3 by Run the Jewels. It's a Christmas miracle. Yeah, they dropped this album on Christmas, which... Killer Mike and LP, I hate you for this. Because, well, I had my list set, but they dropped this. I was expecting it to come out in 2017, probably make my best albums of 2017, but nope, they dropped it on Christmas, and I got to listen to it and determine where it would go, and it's a solid album. I mean, I don't think Run the Jewels has any weak albums. Yeah. It's got the standard kind of really upbeat electronic beats from LP. And, well, the singles for this album were really hype. As you may know, the two of them hate Donald Trump a lot, and they feel free to let us know on... I forgot the name of the song. I want to say it's Talk to Me. I'm a bad fan for forgetting the name, but I haven't had a lot of time to go back and listen to this album like I've done with the other ones on this list, but just from the first impression it gave me, I really liked it. I mean, as always, Killer Mike's a solid MC. I think LP kind of stepped his game up for this album. He had some good features like Danny Brown. I forget his name, but he's the singer of TV on the Radio. Trina, of all people. And not hidden, but uncredited verse from Zach De La Rocha of Rage Against the Machine. But yeah, again, not much I have to say about this album. I mean, I just really like it. It's Run the Jewels. I'm gonna see them live. It's gonna be great. Oh, my favorite track was probably Kids with Danny Brown, just because they all come through with amazing verses. Yeah. So, thanks Killer Mike and LP for ruining my top 10 albums list. Good job, guys. Number 4 is Bottomless Pit by Death Grips. Can I just say I really like this album. Well, I don't want to say I don't want to say the typical Death Grips album, because they always have something kind of different on each album. I mean, to normies, it just sounds like noise. But this album was really a bit of a mix of like the Money Store and maybe the Powers That Be. It's, we've got Andy Morin with his crazy electronic production, Zach Hill with his intense drumming, which some of the tracks on this album, he comes through like a rock drummer, kind of brings that punk element into it. And Stefan Burnett, aka MC Ride, is always sounds like a yelling homeless man, but really brings energy to his performance, as usual. We definitely got upbeat tracks like Giving Bad People Good Ideas. I mean, what a way to open the album. And some more chilled out tracks, a bit more mellow, like Trash and Eh. Kind of weird to see like a kind of a downbeat track from Death Grips. The lyrics on the album, as usual, are cryptic. and just sound like they're not supposed to mean anything. My favorite song in the album was Spikes, just because, just listen to it, it's so upbeat, man. Great. Just great song, great album. Again, an album I don't have much to say about. It's just, yeah, it's great. My number 3 album is We Got It Here, ... Thanks for Your Service by A Tribe Called Quest. Trying to compete with, Panic at the Disco for long album titles. But yeah, the album title was chosen by Phife Dawg, which I'd say is a really fitting album considering it's the group's last. Sadly, Phife Dawg passed away, and on a side note, I do have a copy of his solo album, which came out in 2000, and the album's currently out of print, so I'm pretty lucky to own a copy of this album. Yeah. Phife Dawg, Ventilation, .lp. But yeah, back to the album. Of course, amazing jazz rap production, which actually I read that Q-Tip handled most of the production on this album since Ali Shaheed Muhammad was working on Luke Cage, which, unrelated but amazing show, definitely check it out. The lyrics on this album, there's 2 discs, so the first disc is where Phife Dawg had more influence, kind of where he recorded more when he was alive, and it's a bit of more of a political side. The songs like The Space Program and We the People. And the second album has some verses from Phife, but it's kind of more of like a tribute to him, as well as mentioning other stuff. Like on tracks like Lose Somebody in the Donald, they're tributes to Phife, basically, from his fellow group mates. The features on this album are great. I mean, where do I begin? Busta Rhymes, Consequence, Kanye, Anderson .Paak, Kendrick Lamar, Andre 3000, Talib Kweli. Man, who else? I mean, yeah, you got Jack White doing like a guitar solo thing. I wasn't sure what that was. But overall, it's just such a good rap album. In my opinion, probably the best rap album of this year. I have friends who will probably kill me for not saying it's Atrocity Exhibition or any albums like that, but no, I gotta stick with this. This is the best rap album this year. My favorite track on the album is probably Black Spasmodic, because, I just love kind of the melody that's in the beat, and it's kind of a really touching tribute to Phife Dawg, especially there's a verse where Q-Tip is rapping, but he's supposed to be channeling the ghost of Phife, and I really liked it. It was really sweet. And it's kind of sad to hear that this is their last album, but they really came through with a good last album, a good final album. Number 2 goes to Black Star by David Bowie. Now, we lost a lot of celebrities this year, a lot of great people. I mean, we lost Carrie Fisher, Alan Rickman, Prince, Muhammad Ali, 2/3 of Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Greg Lake and Keith Emerson, and the Starman himself, David Bowie. Now, this album kind of came out on his 69th birthday, which was 2 days before he died. So the album, it's a really dark album. It's basically kind of Bowie writing his own obituary. It was very avant-garde, jazz rock influenced, and I mean, it's a weird album. It's not Let's Dance or Fashion or Fame or kind of those more upbeat songs. No, it's not like that. It's something different. I was really excited for this album when I heard about the first single, Black Star, in the music video where there's an astronaut it's a skeleton inside of an astronaut suit, and I thought, oh, is he coming back to Major Tom? What's he doing? This sounds cool. Can't wait to hear what he's got coming up. And the album came out, and he passed away, so people who are saying, oh, you're only rating this album so high because he died, well, it's actually kind of impossible to separate the two events because he made this album just kind of faced with his own mortality. It's not a sad album per se, but it's very emotional. My favorite track is probably Lazarus, one of the singles I heard that really got me hooked to this album in the first place when he was alive back in 2015, just because, you know, it's very cool jazz rock, you know. I really like the sax and just all the instruments in it. And it sounds, I mean, it doesn't sound relaxing, but it's nice, kind of soft, kind of sorrowful, melancholy. And I didn't even listen to the lyrics because, like, when you read them and you see what he was saying now that he's died, it's almost like he's predicting his own death. It was crazy. But you really delivered a good final album, so Godspeed, Major Tom. And the #1 album of 2016 is the Suicide Squad soundtrack. You don't believe me? Well, it's a very seamless fusion of various genres. I mean, oh, you should see the look on your face. Oh, no, that is not the #1 album of 2016. No, no, my #1 album of 2016 is A Moon-Shaped Pool by Radiohead. Yeah, this is my favorite album. All those other people, Danny Brown, Beyonce, David Bowie, Death Grips, Run the Jewels, all of them got beat up by Radiohead. What can I say? I'm gonna say a lot, actually. I really like this album. It's not kind of the whole paranoid, aliens are controlling us all vibes that you get from OK Computer or Kid A. It's kind of like In Rainbows. It's more of a mellow, personal album. There's no really hard rock sounds on here or like avant-garde electronic stuff, but it is kind of a fusion of various elements from Radiohead's career. We've got like standard guitars, bass, drum, we've got synthesizers and drum machines, we've got string ensembles written by Johnny Greenwood, and that's what opens the album with Burn the Witch, which that was a good single. I really liked it. And you know, then Daydreaming was another good single, very soft, dreamy, electronic, and well, they kind of announced that they were going to release their new album, a week before it came out, so it didn't really leave it time to get overhyped. But I really like this album. It's very emotional. It kind of deals with themes of loss and heartbreak, which it comes from Tom York after he split with his longtime partner of 23 years. His partner Rachel Owen, who's the mother of his 2 children, and she recently passed away from cancer, so makes a lot of the lyrics in this album a lot heavier. But you know, some of the best art comes from dark places, and it really makes this an amazing album. You know, all of the members of Radiohead, you know, performed well here. My favorite track is probably Present Tense. I kind of like the Brazilian bossa nova influence on the song. You know, it's not like an outright tropical dance song, but it's nice. It sounds a bit kind of exotic, but that's not really what they're going for. But it sounds nice, and of course Tom York sings amazing on the song. Really, it's an amazing album. My favorite of the year. So my condolences to you and your family, Tom, and to all the members of Radiohead. Congratulations on making another amazing album. But you're probably not watching this. Still, top album of 2016 right here. Yeah, you see it. So yeah, that was my top 10 albums of 2016. If you liked the video, you know, show your support. If you didn't like the video, then, well, let me know in the comments, you know, but just, yeah, in the comments, just let me know what were your favorite albums this year. Make sure to check out the top albums of 2016 videos that my friends, That Samus Main and Sora47 did. Check them out, show my friends some love. and peace out. #1 album.